What is a put option? Simplified. Hey friends, it's the 20-Minute Trader explaining put options, what they are, how they work, and why anyone would be interested in them. Oh, you think you may not be geek enough for this? Oh, so you are a geek? You know what? That's okay. This lesson is designed for the geek and non-geek alike. Put options. The premise is making money on a dropping stock. You think a stock will drop? You can buy put options to make money if it does. Quick reminder that day trading and options trading is risky, and most people lose money doing these things. Put options. Sounds weird, right? Put options? What up with that name? It almost sounds like you started a sentence and didn't finish it. Its opposite is call options, which go up in value when a stock goes up. Put options go up in value when a stock goes down. The real question is, how geeky do you have to be to understand this? Options are just confusing enough to deter those that register 3 or less on the 1 to 10 geek scale, and just easy enough to let geeks, even mild geeks or closet geeks, learn and understand them. If your geek score is above 3, you should be fine. If it is 3 or below, it's tougher, but there's still hope. Stick through it. I found a way to explain options to people that is understandable despite their geek rating. Now, the simplicity is you can buy a put. The stock drops. You can sell it for more than you bought it. Making money on a stock dropping. Hot potato. Get the put, sell it when it profits. Someone buys puts from someone else who sells them. The person who sells them thinks the stock will go up. The person who buys them thinks the stock will go down. Someone could go into their brokerage account and select a stock like Tesla, for instance. Then they could select a strategy called put. Then they could buy the default put offered by the brokerage by hitting buy. If Tesla then drops in value, the put will go up in value. They could sell it and make money off of it. Go ahead and drop a like and put your finger on the subscribe button to spread this easy to understand value to others and get more value to yourself. Anyways, if after you bought a put, Tesla went up in value, your put would drop in value. You would lose money. How does this work? Well, let me illustrate it with a story. And by the way, in this story, imagine being Joe, not Bob, okay? All right, someone named Bob with a pile of cash in his brokerage account wants to make a little extra dough. He goes into his brokerage account and he selects to sell some put contracts. What he is selling is a contract stating the following: I promise I will buy 100 shares of Tesla from someone at $208 per share anytime they want me to between now and a week from now. Joe thinks Tesla will drop. If so, this contract would be very valuable. Joe thinks this will happen, so he buys this contract from Bob for $500. If Tesla drops to $180 per share, then Joe could buy 100 shares from anyone for $180 and bring them to Bob, show him the contract, and force Bob to buy them at $208 per share. Joe makes good money. Now hold on, non-geeks, relax. You don't have to go through that rigmarole. I'm just detailing what put contracts mean. Usually Joe would just sell the put he bought for $500 to someone else for like $600. The price listed for this contract will have gone up. He just goes into his account and taps on the put that he owns and hits sell. The contract itself went up in value. He doesn't have to go through the motions of buying stock from someone and collecting from Bob. Someone else does that later. At the end of this video, I will give you an exact story and strategy that easily summarizes everything. And yes, it represents 100 shares of a stock. That's part of the put contract, 100 shares per contract. Also data that doesn't matter that much, but it's there to understand it. So let's say Joe bought that contract from Bob for $500, but the stock went up from 208 to 220. That contract would be worth maybe $200 now. Bob would already have pocketed the $500 and carried on, letting the put option contract expire worthless, since no one would be stupid enough to go and buy 100 shares of Tesla for $220 and then sell it for $208. Easy money for Bob, who accurately predicted the rise in stock. Joe may have already sold it off to someone before it dropped too far, maybe for $400, so he only lost $100. Now, you only need to know 4 things about this. When you go to buy a put, you are asked to select a strike price and an expiry date. The strike price is how much the seller will pay for it, and the expiry is the date the contract expires. But don't worry, it's not as hard as it sounds. These values don't actually matter that much. No matter what strike price or expiry someone chooses, if the stock drops soon after they buy the put option value goes up. The expiry date is more important than the strike price. If you are making a bet that Tesla will drop in the next 2 weeks, not the next 5 minutes, you'll have to choose an expiry that goes out more than 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. The strike price chosen is slightly important because if you choose ones that are really far in one direction or another away from the current share price, then it changes the game a bit. But if you keep it close to the current share price, it behaves as I have described earlier. If Tesla's riding around 200 right now, and I select a strike price of 100, which is very far off the current price, then a few things will happen. First of all, the price of these contracts will be very, very cheap to buy, but it will take a lot of downward motion very fast for Tesla for it to become more valuable. It's riskier, and also you are going to be paying more in fees because each contract costs money to buy on most brokerage platforms. So buying many really cheap contracts costs more in fees than buying only a few more expensive contracts. Fees can add up. If Tesla was 200 in value and you bought a contract with a strike price of 300, then the cost of those contracts would be very expensive. And if Tesla dropped in value, your percentage of gain would be very slight. This is a very safe and very low risk way of doing put options and low profit as well. But the usual use of strike prices for the put buyer is to change how much someone wants to spend. Most people erroneously think that the strike price is the target price that someone is aiming for when they buy. That is not the case. It doesn't matter much which strike price is chosen because the value of the put contract will increase if the stock drops no matter what the strike price is. I repeat, the only importance of the strike price is that if you want to pay less for it, lower it. If you want to pay more for it, raise it. The cheaper, the riskier, the more expensive, the less risky. Simple as that. Here's an illustration of someone buying and selling a put. Joe decides he thinks Tesla, which has a $200 value, will drop in the next week. He goes into his brokerage. He sees that the cost of a contract that expires in 5 days with a strike price of $200 is $650. He wanted to only spend $500. So he lowers the strike price to $195. This makes the contract cheaper, only $500. He buys the contract for $500. It appears in his positions page on his brokerage app. The next day, Tesla drops to $196 in value. The contract has now gone up in value from $500 to $600. He taps on it and hits sell. He made $100. The last key things to know. The value of any options contract reduces as time goes on. Every day as it approaches the expiry, its value drops, no matter the strike price or the expiry. The lower the strike price, the cheaper the put contract. The higher the strike price, the more expensive the put. The further out the expiry date, the more expensive, and the sooner the expiry, the cheaper. That covers puts. In summary, a put option is a trading instrument in which someone can bet on a stock dropping and make money off of it if it does, and lose money on it if it doesn't. It is based on someone selling a contract agreeing to buy 100 shares of something and someone else buying and selling the contract for that agreement. Hope that explains it. Subscribe for more videos that make complicated things easy. And I want to remind you that day trading is risky and my results are not typical. Your success is not guaranteed if you learn with me or on your own. Practice first with paper trading before putting your own money on the line. See you in the next video.